Hello and welcome to Curious Conversations. We are your hosts, Carly and Mandy, and today we are actually talking about New Orleans, or Nolans, if you speak like a local. So, Mandy, you've been to New Orleans how many times?
So I've been three times, and there is the third pronunciation, New Orleans.
Yes.
What do you
How would you
say?
say it?
Yeah,
I I say New Orleans.
I do too. I can't I've been three times, but I don't know that I can call myself a local, so I better watch it. It's like trying to borrow some kind of dialect there that maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. I just go and tread lightly.
Yeah, have you ever
Okay.
heard it called NOLA?
Yes. Yeah.
I
A
like
lot of
that.
NOLA.
Yeah, I've said that. I can get away with that.
Yeah, I've said that also. I think I've got that in our show notes somewhere, but well, you've got me beat. I've only been once. My experience was not great. I'll just go ahead and preface.
Yep.
Not at the fault of the city. It was my own doing. So I'm hoping that today we're going to share and we're going to get some people excited to go maybe try it out. And just a little bit of warning of what not to do. I've got plenty of that.
Yeah, so I might have a little bit of that too, but so we're a perfect match for this because I've been several times, loved it. uh I remember when you went, we hardly knew each other, like we didn't know each other that well.
Right.
Still sort of professional in the writing world kind of thing. But I think I could have told you the things to do and not to do had we set that up beforehand.
Yes. All
Maybe you
right.
would have had a
Well,
better experience.
I wanted to have a good experience. I really did.
Okay,
But
there's still a chance.
there is. I'm going to listen to your stories and live vicariously. And you can listen to
Yes.
mine and just feel sad.
Okay. Well, it's a plan.
All right. Well, before we dive into that, we want to share with you guys this week's curious dish. So this is the part of our show where we dish about the most curious thing that we've got going on this week. Um, Mandy, I know you've got something good because you wouldn't even hint. You gave me nothing, so it must be a good one. Mine's crappy, so I'm going to go first and just get it out of the way.
Okay, let's hear your crap.
All right. Well, I have none. That's
You have
nothing
nothing
curious going
curious?
on. Nothing super curious. I will kind of give an update, on something I know I've talked about, my role as a publisher and owning a publishing house. I actually sold my business this week.
You did. That was
So
huge.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
I
huge.
sold a business. And then we close on a flip property on Monday. So I have a lot going on. But a lot of that has kept me in the office, and I've got nothing super great and curious to share. So I'm really depending on yours.
Oh God, now it's all built up.
Yeah.
So I have to say though, you can't just live in the weird, right? You can't just live in the fun. You've got to do some practical things. You've got to do the grown up things, and
Yeah.
you're rocking it. I saw that you made that announcement. Of course, I already knew, and I was just like, congratulations and excited for you because it's not like a loss. It's the next big thing,
Yeah.
and I'm always, we're always in on each other's next big thing. So we get to both taste a little bit of what the other person's doing, and I love that.
Yes. Same here.
Yeah, so I'm sure our audience can hear my nose sounds awful, but I am so much better. I had a little bout of sickness this week.
Yes, you
So,
did.
you know, that's curious. Viruses are curious, but I didn't get to get out, and do anything, but I've been holding on from the week before.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I've been so excited to share this with you. So yeah, if you guys hear me sounding this sort of Marlboro man sound, just push through. I'll be better next time. Like it won't sound like this next time. You can just laugh at me now. Okay, here's my deal. So, me and my husband ride a motorcycle. I don't drive. I'm back there doing my thing in my own
Yep.
head. So I'm watching all the things. You know how it is. You're on the back of a bike, you're watching, you're seeing all the things, you're pointing like, oh, check that out.
Yeah, that's the
So,
best.
yeah, we're actually following with some friends of ours who ride, and so I'm pointing like I'm doing the tour along the way as I do,
Mhm.
um, and I see this big. like the quick make signs. It's like a vinyl piece and it's held up by strings, close to a bridge. It's big. And it's like the Naughty Cat Cafe. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Ahead. And you're going through a small town, around Tennessee, Georgia line. So the Naughty Cat Cafe ahead, 30 naughty cats. And so I'm pointing like, oh my gosh, it's small town strip club. Is that not what you would think? Small town strip club, 30
Yes.
naughty cats ahead. So we happen to pull in to get some gas, and it's across from the place. Wasn't even planned. We didn't know where that place was. And it's like, here they are, the 30 naughty cats. It's literal cats at a cafe.
I- Wait, in in the cafe?
Okay, so of course, I'm making a big deal about this, and everybody else is like, "Yeah, this is weird," but I'm like, "No, I need to see this." I was like, "This is my curious dish." You don't understand. So I go over. There's a little crowd with people taking pictures, and so there's a nice professional sign. It's the Naughty Cat Cafe. Well, you know what this thing is? It's actually brilliant marketing. So you go. It's not like you're going and getting a cheeseburger and fries. It looks like they
Right.
have snacks. Outside, they've already posted that they're full for the day. They're selling no more tickets. I'm like, what? So, we're talking to the people there, and we're like, I'm looking through the windows. What is this thing? And you see this. One side looks like a little cafe or a little coffee shop. The other side, the other window, are cats lined up like cats. You get to pick which one you like. You go inside, have a little drink and a snack, and play with the cats. These are rescue cats. Yep. Yep. And it literally has a sign on there. This is not a strip club, but that's their little gimmick. That's their little gimmick. These are the naughty cats. They're actual, like a tabby. It's a
That's
tabby.
their clickbait.
Yes. Yes. So, I was pretty excited, but it's $15 to evidently get a canned Coke and hang out with the cats. And there's a
Okay.
room, like a lounge. But there's 30 in this room, and they were sold out for the day. So you could do this like, okay, here's brilliance too. They're next to a pediatrician. So your kid comes
Oh,
out sick and they're like, "Mommy, I just want to play with the cats." Okay.
mhm.
All right. So I thought that was insane. And then I go inside the gas station and that we're at, and I'm like, "How about this place across the street?" And she's like, "They're a little crazy." I'm like, "A little crazy." And so she claims, I don't know these owners. I'm not, like, all I'm doing is bragging on their marketing. She says that there's people from there who come over and like teach them what they should be doing with, I guess, the cats around the gas station. And they're pretty hard on them to make sure that they're schooling them right on their cat knowledge, how to take care of cats. And
Oh,
evidently, it's a whole cat world.
oh. Okay. So I love that they're rescues.
Mhm. Yeah,
That is
they
fantastic. I
look
love
super
that.
nice.
And that's great marketing.
Yeah,
But yeah, you got to stay in your lane.
right.
Sometimes
Yeah,
people, sometimes
yeah.
people don't want your help.
It's crazy. It was just the funniest thing. We had, giggled and snickered about the, naughty cats. And then there they are, tabbies and little orange puffy cats. And yeah, of course, the woman at the gas station claims there's 90 cats. Anyway, you've got to look
Oh,
that up. Did not know
I,
this existed, but it's not too far from us. And maybe,
look it up.
we
I'm
need to
gonna
go sometime.
go.
Maybe we need to go sometime. Yep.
We could do a live on set, like an on scene. Uh-huh.
Yep, they might check our credentials though for any pets we might have.
Well, I don't have any cats.
Bring it. I got two dogs. They're doing fine.
You do. You have spoiled babies. I love them.
I do have spoiled babies. Um anyway, thought that was fun. That's what I
Yeah,
have.
that's fun. Yeah, we're gonna visit and talk about that on an upcoming episode because I have to go. Have to go.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So that was my lanyap. Do you know that word?
No, no, I have no idea what that word is.
Okay. So that's like a little, so that's some NOLA talk. That's a
Okay.
little bit of well, I think it's like Texas area too. Anyway, it's a little something extra. When you're already giving one thing, it's a gift. It's a little something extra. You get 12 donuts and they give you a 13th donut. So it's like you're already getting something. You're already getting the podcast, and our curious dish is the little
Right.
lasagna.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Look at you.
Look at me. I
Look at
literally used to do that when I was doing marketing. I had lanyap. I had a little something extra that I would do. So that's it's pulling back to those days.
it's a beautiful word. I like weird words. So,
It is. It is.
all right, back to Nolans,
Yeah.
New Orleans, New Orleans.
However you say it.
However you say it. Maybe when did you visit?
Okay. So I was doing like some thinking, and I think it was 95, 97, 99. And I might be
Okay.
off just a tiny bit. It was kind of back to back to back. It was all before Katrina, which was like what, 05? So
Yes.
yeah, it was
Okay.
all pre Katrina. Never been again since then. And but yeah, I've been 3 times.
I went post Katrina, and I mean like 2019, 2018, somewhere around there. So a good bit of post Katrina, and you could still see remnants of her throughout the city.
Mm.
I was a little sad.
Yeah,
But
that's they've been hit hard multiple times. They say the city is sort of, you love it or you hate it. There's a lot of different things to it, but there's definitely a feel to the city of New Orleans.
yeah,
It's a struggle. It's a perseverance. I remember when we were there, a tour guide made a comment to early settlers walking through the mud and the murk in their fancy velvet dresses. That's New Orleans to me. It's
yes.
both. It's both sides.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And I believe, that residual energy throughout history, and you can feel it there. Look up the history of New Orleans, um, and then you visit, and you're like, "Yep, I get it." You can still feel that, and there's voodoo practiced, so you could probably feel that too. I don't know, but
yeah. No, I
but you
felt a
could
lot of that.
definitely feel all of that. It's heavy and light at the same time.
Yes, and so I know your experience was not the best. But I feel like if I were to tell you now in this time of your life, I said there's a place you can go to where there's all kinds of old buildings and there's haunted places and cemeteries above ground and there's old bookstores and antique stores and voodoo and weird stuff, and you just walk all this and there's all neat little places you can go. Like I feel like you'd be, yes, let's go.
Absolutely.
So what happened?
Absolutely. I went in with the wrong mindset. Um, yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into the circumstances of our visit because that's where I went wrong. Right out of the gate, I was wrong. Um, tell me where you visited.
Okay. So there's the different areas, and I don't know where all you went, but so there's the city, like Atlanta
Hmm.
City. I was just on the edges of that. I did do the little streetcar one time
Okay.
downtown. That was fun. So there's the Garden District, there's the swamp. I've done both of those. I did not do the plantation. That was like on a list for the future. And the French Quarter. And the French Quarter is where I have stayed all 3 times. What about you?
I stayed in the French Quarter as well.
Yep.
Have some definite thoughts on that. I did go to the city, the Garden District, those areas, and just did, kind of a really let's rush through. There were some plans, things that we had purchased tickets for. So we were just trying to, in our spare time, how much of this great place can we see very quickly? So it did feel like it was pretty rushed. I wish I could have gone with no agenda, like a
Yeah.
just open to do whatever. So yeah, tell me about the circumstances of your visits. How did that come about?
Okay, yeah, I don't want to bogart the whole conversation because I've been 3 times, but the first time I went with my mom, and we were always curious about it, and we both loved it. In fact, she looked at moving there after our visit. We loved it that much.
Really?
Yep. Um, the second time was with a boyfriend at the time, long-term relationship. With my mom though, still we took
Mhm.
him like so we could go. So I've got the good bad combo here. First time was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Second time did not turn out so well. That was some personal stuff, but it really was not a fun trip.
Ah,
Um, the third time was with my fiance, later to be my husband. And so, you know, I love New Orleans every time. The second time was just not a fun trip for personal things. But
mhm.
yeah, I packed in a bunch, but none of it was planned ahead of time.
Oh,
It
that's
was all in the
nice.
summer too. Did you go in the summer?
No.
It's super hot in the summer.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Can't imagine.
Yeah, but it rains a lot, like light rains. So
Yep.
you just stay moist. It's just
Yep.
really good for your skin. You just stay moist the whole time.
Well, I went at Christmas time. So I love to take my kids on trips. They were pretty young at the time, so we're talking, I think my youngest was 8 or 9 years old. Um, and that was going to be their Christmas present. So I
Merry Christmas,
literally,
kids.
yeah, yeah. Here's a nightmare for Christmas. Um, I made a cute little booklet, like built up this great book with all of these, photos from New Orleans and the things that we were gonna go do and the parade floats and all of it's in this cute little book. And I stuck it in the very bottom of a box with a bunch of purple and green and gold balloons on top. Their Christmas presents were things like luggage and activities for the car. So they knew, okay, we're going on a trip. That's what our big gift is. They opened that box and all those balloons came out and they were like, Louisiana, why?
Not Disney World. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I could see you doing this though. I didn't know the details of
Yeah,
all this. I can totally, you're so organized and yeah, but you made it really cute and I can see all this.
it was, the heart was there. It was a
I'm
good
sure it
plan.
was.
Yeah, it was, yeah, the heart was there. I wanted it to be like a, we're going to Disney. And I didn't get that response, which is okay. They looked through the book and they were like, okay, there's cool stuff in there. But still some reservation about why would we want to go to New Orleans? So let's talk about first impressions. Did
Okay.
you love it? Hate it?
Well, my very first impression was the bridge over Lake Pontchartrain. Do you know?
Okay.
So there's like two bridges. I can't talk intelligently. It's been a while. Um, but so there's the high bridge. There's like a high bridge, and then there's a bridge where you feel like you need a paddle and you're going through the lake.
Yeah.
Okay, and this lake scared me. Like I have a thing about bridges anyway, and I was like, this is not a lake. This is a monster. Do you know?
Okay.
Like, there's legends about Lake Pontchartrain. Like that's a whole thing. So
Mm-mm.
like I said, this was years before you went. But when we went, after you pass that, you're seeing exits that the lake has taken over. So you can't take an exit anymore. Now, this isn't because it flooded
Mm.
right then. It's just kind of, like eating up the little exits over time. Lake Pontchartrain is its own entity. It's like, it's spread out, it's taken over. There's stories about like voodoo and stuff. And if anybody's rolling their eyes, I'm sorry. I like to believe these things. So I just take it the way I hear it. I am not a fact checker. I don't like that. I like to know it the way I know it. And
Isn't that fun?
so, yeah, that's a lot more fun. And we don't know it's not true, but the stories are it's like the voodoo and all the dark stuff just sort of bled into the waters, and that lake is its own thing, and it's really creepy to me.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
was my first impression.
that sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. So my first impression, I'm excited. The kids are in the back. They're all excited. And so I'm watching the GPS and I'm noticing that we are minutes from where we're staying, mere minutes from where we're going to be spending the next week of our lives.
Mhm.
Um, Started to panic. We're going under bridges, and there's just it's like tent city. The homeless population was shocking. Um, it looked rough. It just looked really, really rough and run down and just dark, depressed area. And I'm thinking, we're staying in a hotel in the middle of that. I started to panic. And then all of a sudden, we're, less than 60 seconds from our hotel, and it's a different world. It just opens up
Yes.
to, oh, it's beautiful. And you can tell there's that hard line between poverty and tourist area.
Mhm.
And that made me really sad. It made me very, very sad to know, when we got to our hotel, it was the French Quarters. Wouldn't have stayed there with kids had I known what to expect, but we were literally valeted into the hotel. You drove your car into the hotel and got out, so you didn't see any of the things around you. It was just very bizarre to me, but all I could think when I'm laying in my cozy hotel at night was, "There's a homeless camp, like, right
Mhm.
there. Are they hungry? Are they cold?" We left Christmas Day. It was, "Pack your bags, we're going to New Orleans." That kind of it made me really sad.
Yeah, so I actually didn't even see any homeless people on the streets like that when I went. Yeah.
Really?
Um, I've heard that it's changed a lot since Katrina. I heard it's
Yep.
rougher. I heard there's all these situations and just time in general. It's a very different time. I mean, I literally didn't even have internet when we went, so I didn't have a
Mm.
computer. The way I found out about things was like when we got there, and I think my mom might have checked on her work computer and learned about some places that we called ahead to find out. And we were literally back in the day of asking, well, which street has the most this or that, or we went very blindly like people used to do on vacation, except for like travel
Yeah.
agencies and stuff like that. So, but I didn't see that. Like we saw that later on. What I would assume was maybe some homeless people or people on the street, but it was not camps. It was not set up like that.
Mhm.
So, maybe it is true that a lot's changed, but a lot's changed all over. Never saw that kind of thing around where we live back in the day. So,
Sure.
um, things are sadly different.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking a difference of, 20 years between you and I visiting. So I imagine now there's even more change to it, that we're not aware of. But yeah, it was just really sad. That was definitely something I saw that was like, well, that is so bizarre that it's just so close and it's like two different worlds that are smushed right there back to back. It was weird.
Yeah, but again, if you come into like maybe Atlanta, like Atlanta, Georgia, you're going
Yeah.
to see some of that ambiance, and then just some really rough areas, and um, they have a lot. So you may have even been coming into like the city before. And, I don't couldn't even tell you the way we came in, but I know the
Same.
traffic was horrible, and it made me very nervous because it was like regular big city traffic, and then we get into the French Quarter, and it's like whoever's the fastest, like whoever can do it the
Yes.
quickest. Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, panic attacks.
Tiny little one-way streets, and you better not mess up because somebody's zooming this way. And yeah, that was different. That was different.
Yes, it was. I keep relating it to Atlanta, but it just had a different feel. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like you better gun it, you better do it quick, and you better be confident about it. You act like you live here, and we had no GPS. This was I'm looking at a paper, like, okay, where is this road? And we just had a list of roads and the address number. That's what I'm
Oh,
talking about. That's how different it was back then. We're looking for that road just by take the fourth road on the right down past. Yeah, so it was,
Yep.
and that was all three times that I was there because it was all still, it was all late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What'd you see that was weird? Tell me some weird stuff.
Okay. Yeah, see, I think you would have liked the weird stuff. Okay, there's the
Yeah.
obvious weird. There's like voodoo shops and such.
Hmm.
And I was just like eating all that up at the time because it was, I've never been walking down the street and saw a voodoo shop. And I am such a tourist anywhere I go, and like unashamed tourist. I will take the pictures of the food. I will take selfies outside. I think, well, I didn't have any of that back then. I had a big camera, like the old
Right.
fashioned camera. But yeah, I don't mind being the tourist. So I saw several weird things, had several weird things happen, but I'll just name just a few of those. So I did go to the voodoo shops, and I did buy well, actually, it was bought for me a one of those. It was a mask, a creepy voodoo looking mask, and it's actually up at the attic now. I think it's like a paper mache. It
Okay.
looks
Yeah.
really creepy. I'll have to find it and show it to you. Nog Champa. Do you know the Nog Champa incense? It's like the smell that you smell in any of those stores.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm getting a little bit bear with me.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorite scents though. But so we did a ghost tour. Um
Mm.
our guide was drinking the whole time and kind of not making as much sense by the end of it.
Oh,
But yeah. And then we did some tours, and I'm just kind of collecting the three times together. But we did a tour where well, actually I met a voodoo priest.
really?
Yes, I need to find that picture and share that here. Um, anyway, yeah, so there's a picture of me with a voodoo priest meeting with him and having a little chat. And then when I was with my husband, now my fiance at the time, we went to one of the cemeteries, and all their cemeteries, like the graves are above ground. Did
Yep.
you visit a cemetery there?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I thought you would like that. We saw an empty tomb. I've got a photo of an empty tomb that was interesting. Some really great pictures. He found a photo that I guess had been tossed around. We figured it had been on a grave. But anyway, so we said that's like one of the most curious things he has. He kept it. He kept the photo of this girl
Oh,
because it was out of place. We would have never known where to find it, where to
yeah.
put it back.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that he has. That's his little special curiosity. And but yeah, we saw some weird things. There's the Bourbon Street stuff. We talked about that on our last Labor Day special, and it kind of brought
Mhm.
this to fruition. Um,
Mhm.
anyway, I think I saw a lot of weird things, but I really just embraced all that. What about you?
Yeah. There were definitely weird people.
Yeah. Mhm.
there there were
Mhm.
some strange characters. I think probably the weirdest thing for me was being there with children. So we didn't go in the voodoo shops, which I would eat that up now, but I had, young, impressionable children.
Oh yeah.
So we tried to kind of stay away from the weird, which is like the exact opposite of who I am now. But I was trying to kind of guide them and protect their minds. And so there was a lot of avoiding the weird. But I loved the cemeteries. I think that is just the coolest thing. Nicolas Cage has an empty tomb there. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yep. Yeah, you can find an empty tomb for him. So I think that's pretty
That's
nifty.
crazy. Yeah, I love Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. So let's talk about the food.
Okay, I have to make this little comment though to what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been very different for me with kids too, and very different for me at a different time in my life. Like we
Yeah.
sort of flip flop lives. We flip flop lives in
Yeah.
some ways. I
Right.
don't know what happened there, but you see things differently at different times in your life too.
Mhm.
And I had a child late, so I did all the things beforehand. But it's different when your kids are older too.
Yeah.
So but it made me think when you said that of like you kind of were set up for failure because all the things there were probably things you didn't really want to engage in.
Yes.
Whether it was dangerous, weird, not appropriate, whatever. Um, I tried to watch a movie with my son a while back, and at home I can kind of like censor that a little bit for certain uncomfortable things. This one I made a bad choice, and so it was like nonstop. Okay, turn away, turn away, turn away.
Oh,
And then I
yep.
realized, oh, he's not even seeing the whole movie. So I think that's what you were like, is like you couldn't go into all the things, you couldn't experience the things. It was kind of like, why are we here? Is that how you felt? Like you were just kind of trapped?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm sure there is a place for small children in New Orleans somewhere that it's not where I was. It was definitely, I mean, it was like, here's your Christmas present, but you can't open 90% of it. It was just like a close your eyes, turn away. We're going to shimmy over here. Now we're going to go over here, keep your head down. Yeah, it was definitely shocking with small children, older children and adults. It's a great place. Go have a good time. But yeah, it was definitely the factor of just having small kids.
I can
That,
imagine that. No, I would be right in line with you. And maybe you should have done the swamp tour.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the swamp tour. Okay, so you brought up food, right?
Yeah, tell me about that food because I think you would love the food
I do.
based off of what I've seen you eat.
I do love the food. There's not much that I don't like, but I really do love the food, and I think I love a lot of the things that you don't love. It's like really heavy there. So yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay. So I'll just preface by saying I'm not a fan of Cajun food anyway.
yeah,
Um, I do not eat crawfish or oysters. I don't eat gumbo. I don't eat jambalaya. Like I'm not into any of those things. And they're eating that stuff for breakfast.
mhm,
You know, I hate those. Is it called a low country boil?
you hate
Broil?
that.
Oh, they
Yeah, I
throw
would eat
all of
that.
your food in one bag and shake it up so it all tastes like fish, and then they pour it out, and you
Yep,
just stand around and eat it with other people. Ugh.
I would eat that if it had toes in it.
Well, I disliked every single thing that I ate there except gator tail. I
Okay.
liked that. I'm a big fan of gator. But everything has like this fishy flavor to it. Like even things that shouldn't have a fishy flavor taste like you like raked them across the bottom of like a shallow pond.
Yes, and I love that.
Oh.
I'm like, and give me the French bread, and I will sop that mess up.
Okay, so they had the what's their famous breakfast bread. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a certain pastry that's really famous
Beignets.
there. Yep.
Did you like
I
that?
s- yep. I
Okay.
stood in line, I mean, for a good hour and something trying to get one of those from like what was supposed to be the best baker around.
Mhm.
And I didn't even that line didn't move. I finally left. So I didn't even get the one thing I was excited to try.
Oh gosh, are you serious? So you didn't get one?
No. No.
Okay. All right. Well, so we've got a to-do list. Even if we don't make it to New Orleans, we've got to experience something along the lines of these things that you would like. Because I thought you were going to say you had to make it on beignets because that's the only thing you could eat that week.
I wish. I know I could have it's like a donut. I could have eaten that all week long, but yeah, that was a happening joint. It was hard to you couldn't get in there.
Okay, so it was really, yeah, I really like those, and I wasn't a coffee drinker at the time because again, it's been that long. But I understand the coffee, like you get the coffee with it, and that sounds really good. But yeah, we had that, and did you make it down to the French market
Um, I actually don't remember. I'm thinking
along
that's
the
where the
river?
cafe was.
The it's along Cafe Du Monde. Was it that?
Yep,
Okay.
that's it. That's where you're
Um,
supposed to go.
That's where you're supposed to go for it. Yeah, it's the touristy thing. So that's where, You want to get that taste, right? So
Yes.
yeah, when I think of New Orleans, I think of beignets. I think of the hurricane drink that I told you before in our other episode,
Yep.
and I think of all the things that you don't like, all that Cajun food. And they're not really set up for, or they didn't used to be for a variety. It's like everything, like you say, has that sort of thing. There's different variations of that, but I
Oh
love
yeah.
all that. I love all that. So I remember the kind of thing that I talked about before, like ladies walking through with their dresses and the murk and stuff. We went when I went on the third trip. We went to a really, there's like the little fancy places too. So we went to a more fancy place, and the food was really good. It was like super, I don't know, high quality. Some of the areas are a little shifty, but
Yeah.
anyway, but like the table was balanced with like some cardboard, under 1 foot. And I'm like, that's so New Orleans to me. That's my
Yeah.
experience. And that's not a put down. Like I like that. I like that
Yeah.
there's the rough edges because I tend to do that kind of thing. Like I put my energy in creative stuff, and I don't always do the practical. So
Yeah.
relatable. But I love all that food, and so it was good for me. But I could see if somebody doesn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Everywhere I went, I mean, we would just find the fanciest restaurant we could find, and I would order a salad with nothing, like, don't put anything fish related in my salad, just lettuce and some dressing, and I'm good. And that's
Oh
what
my
I ate for a
gosh.
week.
Oh my gosh. And you think of that as like the place to go try the food. So you were
Oh,
very limited.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
absolutely.
Okay,
So
let
see,
me
it's
ask you
just like the
this.
perfect storm.
Yeah, I hate that. That wasn't a good experience for you. Well, okay, where did you stay? Like, were you in like a hotel, or were you at one of the little bed and breakfasts, or what were you at?
It was a hotel, in the French Quarters, and it was literally just part of all of the buildings. They've got the little shop set up, and then it was like this big hotel in the center of it.
Okay. You talked before about one area is really rough and the next area is really pretty. There's a lot of that. So I remember I'm a little rough now with it, but I used to know this road is good. This road you don't go on. This road, and you'd be going along, and there's lots of people, and then the next road over might be nobody, and that was kind of weird to me and a little bit dangerous feeling. But we did not stay at a hotel. We stayed at like I guess what people would have called like a mom and pop type place back in the day. So stayed um, the first time and the last time um, in a place that the front is an antique store, and it was like antique, like crystal chandeliers, 200 or 300 years old. It's like the elaborate antiques, and then the
Oh,
back were actually slave quarters. There were
yeah.
old slave quarters that had been, made into little rooms, and the rooms had like the first time was just a room. The last time I went with my husband, we stayed in like a little suite, and we had a kitchen, and we just kind of pretended like we lived there. That's what I do in New Orleans. I pretend like I really do live there. It had a courtyard, and
Oh,
the place I stayed at the second time, it was a place similar, but it was not the quarters like that. But there were little individual, I don't know what they were. They were some kind of quarters. Anyway, and then they would serve wine and the French bread at a certain time of day out in the courtyard, and be all misty, and there'd be all these wild plants and stuff. I just can't imagine you wouldn't like that.
that sounds lovely. That sounds fantastic. But I don't make good choices when it comes to going off on places. I've been to Atlanta twice and I was robbed both times.
That's right.
I just don't I don't make good choices, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need a different tour guide.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I needed. I needed you
Yeah.
there. I needed
Yeah.
you there.
If we would have been closer at that time, I could have. Now, I couldn't have given you like the real information, but I could have said, hey, 3 roads over is so and so, and go down to the St. Louis Cathedral and take a right. That's my kind of direction. But it's weird thinking about the old things like staying in those quarters like that. I'm like, this is weird. Now it's a touristy thing. I don't know. Just
Mhm.
kind of sends mixed things, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
There's oodles of history there. They're like still
Oh,
so many buildings that just are untouched. Um,
absolutely. So I definitely would like to go back with a little more knowledge of the history, to really delve into that because it's interesting and there's so much to learn and so much packed into one small area. Um, I want to talk, I did have good experiences. I want to go ahead and say that I did have some really great things happen. But let's get those bad ones out of the way. Did
okay,
you
that
have
sounds
any?
good.
Yeah.
Okay, bear with me.
Yep.
I have a puppy crying behind me. Life still goes
Oh,
on with a podcast, right?
that's right.
So, unless you want to hear whimpering for the next 30 minutes. Um, yeah, so the bad experiences, we've touched on a couple, but I had some too. I say that I had a great time, but I've
Yeah.
literally had some bad ones.
Yeah. I think
So,
that's normal.
you're going first or me?
You go.
Okay. So I talked before in our Labor Day episode about maybe partaking a little too much in the alcohol. Um, I ended up at a bad bar. There's some fun bars and there's some really what we might say seedy bars we might have called back in the day. Just sort of not where you want to be. But the more you
Uh-huh.
drink, the more you're willing to try. And let's just walk into this one and we're going to see all the things until you realize you've literally seen all the things and you think, what am I doing here? So I saw some things I'd never want to see again. And drank like I had no idea what I was doing. So made some bad decisions and at one point was led out the back because maybe I wasn't fit to go out the front.
Oh, oh,
That sounds, and look how vanilla I look. I just lead such a clean life. But we all make bad choices at
you
some.
were very young.
I was really young. I was really young, and it's kind of like that saying, like your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Yeah, sometimes you think you can take on the
Mm,
world, and then you're like, oh, it's like that.
yeah,
You
I'm
get you,
still a little old me.
yeah, you find out you're kind of naive, and you can't hang with
Mm-hmm.
can't hang with other people you're trying to hang with. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, lots of things in my life I would never repeat. And there's a lot of things in New Orleans I would never repeat again. So those were bad things. One of the trips I was there, my husband and I were approached by a child to buy drugs. A child,
Oh,
like 10. Yeah. Yeah. And he looked like really hip to all that. He was not pitiful or anything. He was like just running his little game. And so that was disturbing and weird. Um,
yeah.
got my first bout of gallstones while I was there. Didn't know that's what
Oh,
it was. Yeah. So when I went the third time with my husband, we had to park really far away. Parking is scarce in places.
yeah. Yep.
So we had to walk and walk and walk and walk. And my chest started hurting and it hurt more and more and more. And I thought, you think things like indigestion, you know, I don't know. I didn't think my heart or anything, but my chest just hurt really bad. By the time
Mm,
we get to the place, because we're carrying our luggage from like a
yeah.
parking area, we get there and I can hardly breathe. I can hardly. Anyway, that was my intro the first day we were there. It finally eased up. I didn't find out till a year later that I had, after multiple attacks, that's a whole other thing. But I had gallstones and they were pretty bad. So they would pop up into my bile duct and make me not be able to breathe or anything. So that happened on that time. So, there was some bad things, a
Yeah.
lot of
That
good
would
things
be
too.
that would be rough.
Yeah,
Mm.
it was rough. What about your
And
bad things? I know you have some bad things.
I did, and again, all four of my children, I had four kids. All four of them cried the first night.
Oh
before we
no.
before we even heads hit the pillow. I have 4 children crying. They were just extremely sheltered children, and this was a rude awakening for them. It was completely out of their norm. Um, so we had a lady that gave necklaces, like the bead necklaces, to my kids, and then demanded that I pay her for them. Well,
Oh.
I didn't have cash. I had 0 cash. And I was like, I don't have cash. Why did you hand something to my children? And now you want me to pay for it. So she took
Mhm.
them back. She snatched those beads off my baby's neck. And I
Oh my
was like,
gosh.
okay, my kids are like shocked and they're like, I just had a necklace. What'd you do with my necklace?
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
there was a lady that in a little cafe. The first night we got there, we were starving when we arrived. So we went to this little cafe a couple of doors down from our hotel. Um, and there was a lady in there that thought we were possessed, I guess. We all had extremely blonde hair and really blue eyes. All of us did.
You weirdos.
Um, yeah, she started doing some kind of like chanting and pointing. She refused to serve us, like refused to help us. Just walked away, like doing some kind of weird language and pointing, and someone else had to come and explain, you freaked her out. And I'm like, you don't see people with blonde hair, blue eyes? Like that was really bizarre to me. Um, yeah, yeah. And then there was, the street performers, which is fun. That's a fun thing.
It
But
is
there
fun.
was
Yeah.
this one gentleman was gold glitter from head to toe. And when you would walk by, he would get in your face and flip you off. And that made my children cry.
Oh
They're
my
really
gosh.
shocked by that. They
Yeah.
thought he was being mean, and I'm like, he's trying to be funny."
Yeah, that's I can see how different situation, and also, some people may take their kids, like I wouldn't take my kid, at this point, knowing what I know, until they were pretty much older. And then you still pick and choose. Some people just do whatever. I don't know, no judgment, but I totally see where you're coming from. That would have been a very different experience for me too. And you're probably kicking yourself like, yeah, the mean old mama, brought you down to I don't know
Oh, I
what.
had so much mommy guilt.
Yeah.
So much mommy guilt. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah, that would have kind of. And how long were you there? Did you guys stay?
A week,
Oh, see, I've never stayed that long. I always did
a
a long
full week.
weekend. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was our first night. That's what kicked us off was, my children lost beads. We were cursed by someone who thought we were, evil. The food, my children were all like, "This is disgusting. We don't want to eat anything here." They all cried, went to bed crying. Yeah, it was rough. That was a rough start.
Oh,
So
I
that
bet.
probably set the tone a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I could imagine I've been in situations where I thought, what was I thinking? Why did I do this? And then you second guess yourself, nonstop. Um, all right, let's talk about some good experiences. We need
Yes.
to we need to bring the good ones in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's good. There is good. It's coming. Tell me some good things that happened to you.
So I love the architecture. I was talking about that before. St. Louis Cathedral. Tell me you visited the cathedral.
Yeah, we
That's
went to
lovely.
I guess it's not called a service, but yes.
Okay. So I've just been in where you can light a candle and,
Mhm.
visit and just outside, like, I don't know how it's set up now, but, used to be open grassy area. There were a lot of vendors, street performers. Me and my husband got a portrait drawn that was surprisingly good. It's still here somewhere. It's just pencil, and it was just really good. So there were a lot of artists and different things. I got my boots shined. Was walking around in boots, so I got the old school boot shine. And yeah, I was told, get over here, girl. Your boots look like poop. Yeah. So
Okay.
I visited the oldest tavern in the French Quarter. Did you get to see that?
Nope.
There's no electricity there. Got some of my favorite photographs that back when I was doing photography more. Got some of my favorite ones there at the French Quarter. But when I went the first time, we also went out to the Garden District. Now, did you guys go there?
Yes,
Okay, it's very pretty. Uh,
absolutely.
we got to see Anne Ross's house, the author,
Mhm.
and we also went on a swamp tour. That was one of the good points about the second time when I went. We did the swamp tour, and
So
that
was
was
that on an airboat?
yep.
Oh,
So I don't even remember where we went, but we took a cab. There was no Uber or anything. It's just cabs, and
oh,
out to do that tour. That was fun, and took you back to a little place where we had fried gator and such, and that was good. I like all the antique stores, the jewelry stores, just these little shops with neat things. But some of them were a little snooty. Like I remember my mom asking to try on a ring, and they wanted to know basically ahead of time if she was going to buy it. If she wasn't going to buy it, why were they removing it from the cabinet? And another time I went into a little diner and we didn't know. And New Orleans does kind of act like you should know what's going on. I don't think they're
mhm.
crazy about the tourists. That was the feel I got. So when we weren't approached, we went and grabbed a table, and we were quickly told basically that we broke the rules and that we needed to get back there, and just like a real snappy thing to make you feel awkward and like, well, I'm just from Georgia. I don't know. There were some of those experiences, but mostly everybody was, you know, pretty nice with us.
Okay. All right. All right. Here's my good.
Yeah, pull the good out.
We went to Mardi Gras World. Did
Okay.
you do that?
I've not been there. No.
Okay, that was actually really cool. It's a behind the scenes tour of like all of the floats
I've heard
that are
of
in
it.
the Mardi
Yeah.
Gras parade.
That's fun.
Yes. It's almost shocking at how large they are. And I mean, the warehouse you're walking
Yeah.
through just seems to go on forever and ever. But you get to see, I mean, they were working on them, which was so cool. They're,
Really?
pulling off old paint and putting new ones on and all the
Yeah.
flashiness. And so that was a lot of fun. We did Storyland. I don't know if you have heard of that.
Mm-mm.
That's a definite, gotta go. Even if you don't have children with you, um, it might have been in the Garden District. I don't know where it was actually, but you walk through and you see all of these little displays and statues of like old school, like the little old woman who lived in the shoe and the three
Oh, okay.
pigs, and that was a lot of fun. I have pictures of my kids with all of these little characters and, there's little play areas in there. That was great. That was fantastic. Walking through the cemeteries, that's a really
Yeah.
cool experience, and it doesn't have to
Yes.
be creepy. If you do have children with you, you can just walk through, or you can do like a historical based tour. But the spooky, ghosty ones sounds amazing. And Double Jeopardy, the movie Double Jeopardy, was filmed in one of their cemeteries. The cemetery scene
Yeah.
that's in
That's
New
right.
Orleans. You can kind of see, in the movie, you can tell. Um, and then there's Faulkner House Books. Did you go there?
I did. And so, I wasn't like, uh, I wasn't like reading Faulkner. I was not a fan of Faulkner until I met you. Actually, did I read my first Faulkner? So, but yeah, at the time I still thought it was cool. Legends there or whatever is going on there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Faulkner wrote one of my favorite books, As I Lay Dying, which is weird and kooky. Um, but the shop is reportedly haunted by Faulkner, but not in a malicious way. So I don't even want to say haunted. He's been known to visit. So he was known by heavy cigar smell all the time. And so, people have reported that when they walk by his writing desk, they smell the heavy cigar smell, but also that people have seen an apparition sitting at that desk writing, and they believe that to be him. Um, which is so, I mean, you can go in and see all of these really expensive books that are like his first edition books, but you can see his original, like his writing desk, and I just think that is really great. And then the cathedrals are beautiful. They're gorgeous. Like I said, we did I guess it was mass. I don't really know. There was a whole lot of stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up and
Yes.
repeat some stuff, and it was an odd experience, but it was really great just to kind of be in that arena with other people that are just doing their thing. That was the least touristy thing I think I did, because that was just life. They were just doing their normal everyday life. So that was a really great experience too.
Here's a movie line. We ain't all Southern Baptists around here.
It's
Have you ever heard of the movie Angel Heart that takes place
no.
in New Orleans? Okay, that's a great
Oh,
spooky. It's not horror, it's spooky.
okay.
One of my favorites. Anyway, always got to plug those things. But yeah, actually, I'm rewatching Your Honor. Did you ever watch that series?
Yes.
Okay, that takes place in New Orleans. So yeah,
Yes.
rewatching that. Nothing to get you watching like every single thing like being sick. Let's just watch all the things. But yeah, so I went in that store, and that was the trip that was not as good with my boyfriend at the time, and he got a William Burroughs book. Do you know William Burroughs?
Mm.
Yeah, so that he's a big William Burroughs fan. Anyway, so
Oh,
I don't think I even got anything there. I was just kind of tagging along while he was shopping, but it was one of those cool stores. There's a lot of
yeah.
cool shops there. We did a
Yeah.
monastery too. Did you see the monastery? We got to see
No,
that. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's like I'm picturing all the places and don't know how to tell you accurately, but do you know the touchdown Jesus? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? It's kind of weird. Sounds disrespectful. It's the Jesus with statue with the arms up to refer to. It's kind of like the big chicken in Marietta, Atlanta, Georgia area. It's like turn by the touchdown Jesus. No disrespect. It's just that's what they call it there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So everything kind of pivots down in that area. Like, oh yeah, take a left at the touchdown Jesus.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. It might not even be standing now. I'm talking in the past. No,
Yep. Yep. Okay. So here's the question of the day. Would you go back?
I would go back. I would like to go with our son, and a little bit educational, a little bit edgy, no Bourbon Street, swamp tour, and probably a plantation tour.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would you go back?
I would. I would go back in a heartbeat. All my children are grown. So that makes a massive difference. I love the idea of visiting with a different mindset, and just some general basic knowledge going into it of what to expect. But the ghost tours, the cemetery tours, storytelling events, all of those things just sound like they would be the coolest. So I would absolutely go back.
I think you need to, and just make food arrangements ahead of time. I'm sure there's
My
more
palate has
places now.
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I eat a lot more seafood. I didn't eat a lot of seafood back then, and now I love it. I can't get enough. Still not into the oyster thing, I don't
right.
do the crawfish. But I think I could find some stuff.
I think you could find some stuff. I think you need to give it another shot, and see how you feel at this point in life. But what's something you may enjoy may not be something that your whole family enjoys even today. You never know.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah,
All right. So we would both go back. That's what I'm getting is
yes, yes. You know what? I think you should go in October. You should go during spooky season and just sort
that would
of,
be amazing.
yeah. I like the hot, like hot heat. I like it. But there were times when I thought I
Mhm.
was really going to melt and not be able, because we walked every single place. We thought we might
Uh-huh.
not make it back from the Garden District. But I think that would be I think that would be a cool time to go.
Yep. I think that would be awesome. I like the heat.
Yeah,
Okay, well, this has been a fun episode.
it has been fun.
I've enjoyed this one. Listeners, what about you guys? We want to know, have you been? Would you go? Would you go back if you have? Or hey, if anybody has any fantastic Cajun dishes out there, some recipes that doesn't taste like dirty fish water, hook us up. I, I need to get a taste for some really great Cajun food. So,
I want the one that tastes like dirty fish water.
oh, yes.
That sounds right.
All right. So send us an email, shoot us a great recipe. Do not forget to join us next week. We'll be back with an all new episode. Thanks for listening.